Joseph Proctor was one character that many of us Power fans loved in the original series, but he eventually went out in a blaze of gunfire at the hands of Tommy Egan. But if he was still around and came up against the showpiece Davis Maclean, how would he have fared? Welcome back to MovieBot, and I'm talking about Joe Proctor versus Davis Maclean. Joseph Proctor was no doubt a fan's favourite and was probably one kill from Tommy Egan's list of 30 that I didn't agree with, but no doubt one kill that he had to make to ensure he stayed out of the orange jumpsuit. Ironically, something Proctor managed to do for Tommy when he was in custody for killing Nomar. Born and connected to the mob, Joseph Civello's father died in 1984 and his mother remarried and changed his name to Joe Proctor, which was his stepfather's name, and despite not being a part of his family's organisation, he remained on good terms with that side of the family, and later we saw many traits which I'm going to talk about in this video, which made him the best lawyer, and I'm going to be discussing what could have come from a battle between the lawyers Proctor versus Maclean. But if you're new to my channel and you haven't done so already, then remember to smash the subscribe button. But with that being said, no doubt Proctor had many great moments, but I'm going to be speaking about 3 moments which shaped Proctor's character: an act of ruthlessness, an act of loyalty, and an act of using the law. And one of Proctor's greatest moments on the show was in season 6 when he showed he did have a killer instinct after all, and he was definitely a Civello by blood, and it was when he let his ex-wife Lindsay overdose and die when he could have easily prevented her death. But unbeknown to him, in the corner was Lisa Marie's bag along with a recording device Saxe planted, which would later come back to haunt him and eventually what would contribute to his downfall and death, and I'll be speaking about this in just a moment. But him allowing Lindsay to die wasn't just ruthless and cold. It showed he had a killer instinct, which no doubt originally being a Civello runs through his veins, which in that moment was ice cold. And Proctor wasn't just ice cold in moments, he was extremely loyal and loyal to Ghost, and in season 5 episode 9 he was strong armed by Cooper Saxe and John Mak and convinced to wear a wire because they wanted proof that Angela Valdez was a member of Ghost Circle, and this is where Proctor was given literally no choice as they threatened him with a federal indictment and blackmailed him that they'll have Lindsay get full custody of Lisa Marie. And later in the episode when Ghost said Proctor was like family, he knew snitching just wasn't an option and alerted Ghost to the wire he was wearing, and this act of loyalty can't be overshadowed, especially because Cooper Saxe and John Mak put Proctor's back against the wall and threatened to have his daughter taken away. Loyalty is something Proctor valued and something he stood by, and although he did eventually tell Saxe that it was Tommy who pulled the trigger on Angela, again his back was against the wall with them having the recording of him letting Lindsay die, but without this Proctor was loyal up until his very last breath. And let's talk about his moments with the law and the moment where he helped Tommy get out of these handcuffs after Tommy was arrested for killing Nomar, and it was with the help of Ghost where Proctor was able to prove that Tommy's ID was obtained illegally by Angela Valdez, who used Carlos Ruiz's daughter to identify Tommy, and Tommy was released from prison. 3 of my favourite moments which didn't just help shape Proctor's character but showed agility to adapt to situations when his back was against the wall many times, and especially with the use of his daughter by the dirty Cooper Saxe, yet he remained loyal to Ghost, who considered him as family. 3 traits which I would associate with Proctor was ruthless with a killer instinct, loyal, and he knew the law, and he used his law to Ghost and Tommy's advantage. But Davis Maclean, let's talk a little about him before we come to a battle between Joe Proctor. And because Davis Maclean, he loves the limelight, he's a showman and he relishes being under the spotlight. Davis Maclean and Paula Matarazzo have an unbeaten record as lawyers. They're undefeated, and do I think he'll continue his undefeated streak? Yes, I do, but there's definitely more than what meets the eye with Davis Maclean, because he mentioned that he had to represent his brother, who we have no information on as of yet. And we also saw Carrie telling Tariq that he needs to be careful of Maclean when they were having dinner at Lauren's in episode 4 The Prince, so there seems to be history between Carrie and Davis Maclean as well. So Tariq's already had a warning, and rightfully so, especially with what we saw play out at the end of episode 5 with Maclean making a deal with Saxe. But let's talk about this and dive deep into this battle with Cooper Saxe, because there's no doubt that Davis Maclean, he is one of the best lawyers around. Cooper Saxe, well, he's dirty, and if it was a straight battle without Saxe using his tricks, then there's no doubt that Maclean would have wiped the floor with him already. But with the combination of the Democrat Party's help and Saxe's dirty tricks, they manipulated the situation and has no doubt made this battle tough for Maclean, but he did make that deal with Cooper Saxe. Now this deal involves his client Tasha St Patrick walking free in exchange for Tariq St Patrick being charged for the murder of Ghost. Ruthless and cold, a similar trait to which Proctor had, but not loyalty, although some would argue why should Maclean be loyal to Tariq having just met him for a minute, and I do have my doubts about this deal, because if Maclean goes through with this deal, he's effectively giving up 450k because that's what Tariq owes him, and well, he seems like a man who loves his cash. and now he knows that Saxe was at truth at the time of the murder, and he also knows that Tariq was the one behind the trigger. But what does he really value the most, the law or his money? And that's something we're yet to see. But if I was to say of now, my bet is there's a twist to this deal, because there's no chance that Maclean is going to give up 450k. And I touched on a point about loyalty, and that's something we're not too sure that Davis Maclean has either at this moment in time, because he's cheating on his wife with his partner Paula Matarazzo, and I'm sure there's some history there between Professor Carrie Milgram as well, especially considering she's a sex addict. His knowledge about the law, however, is good as anyone's, and as far as we've seen him being straight by the book and wanting to play on a level playing field, whether this continues is another question, because personally I think there's a lot more history and a whole nother side to Davis Maclean that we're yet to see. But how would he actually fare up against the original great Joe Proctor? That's the real question. So let's dive deep into Joe Proctor versus Davis Maclean. And I'm just going to give my opinion straight off the bat before anything, and I think if Joe Proctor was Tasha's lawyer at this moment in time, then she'd be sitting at home in her fake lashes, her LV scarf and her pretty earrings, because the one key difference between Davis Maclean and Joe Proctor is he knows the St Patricks. He knew the St Patricks from top to bottom, what Ghost's involvements were, Tasha's involvements, and I'm going to be putting Tommy in that category as well, because he was practically family to the St Patricks. And this is one thing Davis Maclean doesn't have at all, because Tasha and Tariq, they're hiding a lot of information from Davis Maclean, but I really don't think Tasha and Tariq need to worry about this, because Davis Maclean, he seems like he's all about the win no matter what. But with Proctor, he was smart, he was ruthless in his approach, and he exploited any little loophole that he could legally find to ensure that Tommy and Ghost stayed out of prison, and they did. And Proctor, knowing the St Patricks at the back of his hand, I think he'd get Tasha out with a blindfold on. And well, if they were to come up against each other in court, I genuinely think Joe Proctor would definitely inflict Maclean's first defeat, and it's a real shame that we won't get to see these two in court together, because this is something I would have loved to have seen. So with that being said, I want to talk a little about Power Book 3 and give you a quick update and a quick update as well. But with Proctor versus Maclean, drop me your thoughts and let me know what you think. Who would come out on top between these two lawyers, and let me know what your favorite Proctor moment was of Power. So comment your favorite Proctor moment down below. But with Power Book 3, they've officially started filming again for season 1 of Power Book 3, and it was Jukebox who confirmed this. And it makes sense that they've started filming Power Book 3 because they've just finished filming the last 2 episodes of Power Book 2 Ghost, so season 1 is wrapped up, and Courtney Kemp and co have jumped straight into filming Power Book 3 Raising Kanan. But if you want to know more about Power Book 3 Raising Kanan, then I'll link this video down below in the description and in the comment section down below, because I go into a lot more detail what to expect from Power Book 3. I talk about the timeline, a young Kanan, a young Jukebox, and what kind of storylines to expect from Power Book 3. So I'll leave the video down below, so make sure you check that out if you want to know everything about Power Book 3. But that's the news update, and I really can't wait to see Raising Kanan, because I know everybody's waiting for Tommy spin-off, but personally, Raising Kanan is the one I'm waiting for. But with all of that being said, let me know what you guys think about Power Book 3 down below as well, and let me know your thoughts on Joe Proctor versus Davis Maclean. Hope you all enjoyed the video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.